for delivering his State of the Nation address to the people of Ghana through this House, pursuant to Article 67 of the Constitution 1992. Mr. Speaker, since 1993, every president has used the opportunity to present the State of the Nation address to, as it were, give us specific actions and solutions to some problems they have seen. Indeed, the former President J. John Rawlings, in his State of the Nation address, Mr. Speaker, at that faithful day listed some of the major laws which, in his view, we needed to put the country on the right footing. So in his State of the Nation address, we saw the Forestry Commission Act, the Media Commission Act, Minerals Commission Act, Shrine and District Assembly Common Fund Act being established in Mr. Rawlings' State of the Nation address. Mr. Speaker, in President John Agyekum Kufuor's State of the Nation address delivered on the 15th of February 2001, the President identified two major things. He spoke about the Job 600 and then spoke about the fact that we as a country needed to move the presidency from the castle. By the time he finished, we had the Jubilee House, and then the Job 600 is done. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his State of the Nation address, delivered in 2017, Mr. Speaker, also mentioned major flagship programs, one of them being the free SHS policy. He used that, and Mr. Speaker, at the end of his presidency, the country had seen the free SHS and its impact on our people. Mr. Speaker, when His Excellency, the President of the Republic now came to this House to address us, what did we see? What we heard from His Excellency, the President, was just lamentations after lamentations after lamentations. He did not proffer any solution to any of the problems, Mr. Speaker, that he actually enumerated. Mr. Speaker, one of the main issues we all know we have in this country was the issue of Galamsey. Mr. Speaker, the Joy FM's latest report is here by Erastus Asaridonko. Mr. Speaker, he says the article reads, NDC officials resist seizure of Galamsey equipment as government team faces hostile reaction. Mr. Speaker, the President came here knowing very well that Galamsey was a problem, but he did not proffer any solution. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the State of the Nation address, what did Mr. President say about the Galamsey? Mr. Speaker, with the leave of the chair, I will quote. He said, to combat this urgent crisis, we are implementing a proactive approach that includes robust and impartial law enforcement, meaningful stakeholder engagement, and creation of alternative livelihood programs. So I'm asking myself, what does this mean? What does this mean? This man is every day engaging in stakeholder engagement without solution. As a country, we are looking for solution. We are not looking for stakeholder engagement. What the President is doing, he's telling us that he's engaging in stakeholder engagement. He is saying that he's going to engage in impartial law enforcement. Look at this. Impartial law enforcement. Joy FM is reporting that NDC officials are right now in the bush. They are in the forest reserves. Why is the President not dealing with them? He talks about impartial implementation of law. Why is he not going after them? Why is he not going after them? The President came here to put words together without meaning any of them. Galamsey is destroying this country, and Mr. President, when he came here, he had the opportunity to proffer solution as to how this to be done. He did not. Mr. Speaker, people who are perceived to be NDC people, they are right now in the bush. They are in the forest reserves. Mr. Speaker, when the president had the opportunity to address this house, he says, and I quote, that we will establish a framework that categorizes mining activities into small, medium, and large-scale.
Honorable John Dako, hold on. Honorable Mutala, please, you are a minister. Don't give me the opportunity, please. Yes, Honorable Leader. Leader.
I think the Speaker, Honorable Member, made reference to NDC members being in the bush, purportedly engaged in Galamsey activities. I think that you need to be specific if there's an incident and it's an isolated incident involving one person or two persons at a particular location. It is no basis for you to stand in this chamber and say that NDC people, I think that is not appropriate. And so he should withdraw that and continue with his debate. He was doing well until he got to that point. So he should continue doing well by just withdrawing that.
Honorable members, yesterday I understand that the rules you set up for the debate was non-interjections. Yes, and that was yesterday, and to apply today. So I gave the opportunity to leader, but please let's allow ourselves to get the debate flow, so that we can also finish on time and do other things. We have other things to do. So, leader, please, I beg of you.
I do agree with you. That is the spirit in which the debate is being conducted.
Yes.
Just that we should be a bit careful not to malign an entire group. I ordinarily will not do this, but when you say the NDC people, you are maligning an entire group, and it won't be fair for us to let that pass.
Yes, Honorable
Speaker, I can assure our leader that he shouldn't be afraid. He shouldn't be afraid. We are not out to malign the entire group. But the Honorable John Dako is a man of integrity, and he will provide the better particulars. So the leader should just be relaxed. Yes, he will provide better particulars. And as much as possible, we also agree that the debate should flow and we should reduce the interventions.
So, honorable member, I'm told you are going to provide better particulars, but please, let's be guided with all these things. If you know what we are saying is going to also attract unnecessary interjections, then be guided. Yes, let's hear you.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much. And Leader of the House, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I actually quoted from Joy FM report. You were here when one of my colleagues quoted from Ghana Web, and so I believe that it is allowed. My Lord, the Joy FM report says NDC officials resist seizure of Galamsey equipment as government team faces hostile reaction. And so I am quoting this from the Joy FM report by Erastus Asaredonko. NDC officials, Mr. Speaker, I would like to tender it. And I can read the report to the House. And the report shows clearly that the NDC officials are the people engaging in this galamsey. I'm willing to tender this in as evidence. Mr. Speaker, again, we know the Ghana Web report, our Win Traditional Council accuses NDC
Honorable member. Honorable member.
Win Forest with galamsey.
Honorable member, hold on. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I think we just cautioned him to be careful about generalizing and then misrepresenting an entire group. Now, you see, a journalist writes about somebody resisting the seizure of an equipment. There's a difference between resisting seizure of an equipment and actually engaging in mining. What is galamsey equipment? What is galamsey equipment? What is galamsey equipment? What is galamsey equipment? I'm saying that resisting the seizure of the equipment, even if it's galamsey equipment, resisting the seizure of the equipment is not the same thing as engaging yourself in mining, or illegal mining. So I just want you to be factual. What are the facts? Stick to the facts. And then you don't conclude by saying that the NDC people are the ones engaging galamsey activities.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Speaker, you earlier advised our colleague, Honorable Mutala. He's a very good friend. I heard him make a very damning comment. I wouldn't want to repeat what he said. Speaker, he should know that we are all guided by your directives. He just made a statement. We all heard it here. I don't want to repeat that. The Honorable Mutala should be guided. Speaker, you had already advised him. He should be guided accordingly. He should be guided.
Personally, I didn't hear anything.
So, Mr. Speaker, he needs to tell me what I have said. I think that if he's feeling very bored and he wants to talk, repeat it. I challenge you to repeat it, else you are lying, and I put it to you. I challenge you to repeat what you think I said,
Honorable
else you are
Mutala.
lying.
Honorable Mutala, please.
I challenge you to repeat it.
Honorable Mutala, please. Put off your mind. Yes, Honorable John Darko, let's conclude.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Joe FM report clearly says that a government, if I may read, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, a government advisory team on fact-finding mission to assess the impact of illegal mining faced stiff resistance in parts of the western and central region as they immobilized and seized equipment. The operation aimed at curbing environmental destruction sparked angry reactions from illegal miners and some officials of the governing NDC party. That is what happened. This is the FM report. Mr. Speaker, I also quote a report. Mr. Speaker, I also quote a report from Ghana Web, where the report clearly says that our Win Traditional Council accuses NDC MP of ravaging Tano Amoah Forest with galamsey. NDC MPs engaging the president didn't find anywhere in his speech to condemn that. Mr. Speaker, the president also said, as part of his fight against galamsey, that he will establish a framework that categorizes mining activities into small, medium, and large-scale operations. I was shocked to read that from the president. Because, Mr. Speaker, as we have it right now, the mining activities, they are divided into two, small-scale and large-scale. So when the president says he's now going to categorize them into small-scale, medium-scale, and large-scale, what is he talking about? The Mining Act is very clear. So it's the president telling us that by creating a medium-scale mining, that is how he's going to fight.
Honorable John Dako, please wind up, please.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, they've been taking my time. Mr. Speaker, I haven't done anything.
Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
member.
I won't be fair because Lisa and all interrupted me.
Honorable members, I don't have time here. It's the clerk at table who are managing the time. You just tell me you have 1 minute. So that's why I'm asking you to wind up. Please.
Mr. Speaker,
they have deducted all the interjections. They just told me you have 1 minute. Please, just.
On our forest cover loss, the president said he will launch Tree for Life restoration policy and Blue Water initiative. When I read this, I thought I was going to get some timelines from the president. The president writes it, there is no timeline. How are we going to judge the president in 6 months' time, in 8 months' time, in a year's time? How are we going to judge the president? We don't have any way to measure the president. Mr. President, on climate change, Mr. Speaker, on climate change, the president said that he has successfully authorized 3 projects that are poised to reduce 5.2 million tons of carbon emissions. Mr. President, the president didn't tell us which projects are these.
Thank you, John.
Mr. Speaker.
John, thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I am not even...
John, thank you. Thank you, John. Let's now listen to Honorable Chumesi Ampofu.
I thank you very much for
thank you, John.
This is so sad. Mr.
Thank
Speaker.
you, John. Thank you, John. Now let's listen to Honorable Chumesi Ampofu. Yes, Honorable, you have the floor. 10 minutes. It starts now.
Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to the motion on the floor. Mr. Speaker, I think home sweet home. Therefore, it's important for every government to put proper policies and measures in place to stabilize its economy, to enable its people or citizens to feel home, to feel at home. Mr. Speaker, there are a lot of youth or a lot of people who want to travel outside. But if we are able to stabilize the economy, put proper measures in place, make more policies, and then have more jobs in the country, our citizens will not go outside. They would like to be at home and then working and feel free. Mr. Speaker, during MPP era, the economy was so bad. Mr. Speaker, if you are a driver and then you sit in the car and then you don't check your side mirrors, your rear mirror, your wiper, and then you just move the car, Mr. Speaker, likely you are going to hit somebody or you are going to go into ditch. That's what President Nana Akufo-Addo did to this country. They spoiled the economy so bad that most of the investors leave the country. They left Ghana and went to different countries because of the bad economy, bad inflation. Mr. Speaker, during that era, dollar to cedi is 17 Ghana cedis. Now, it has come to dollar to 15. Mr. Speaker, the T-bill or the Treasury bill at that time was about 29%. Now, it's 20%. Mr. Speaker, therefore, that tells how confidence Ghanaians have in President Mahama administration. Mr. Speaker, therefore, we need to applaud President Mahama. President Mahama has promised that he's going to make sure he will bring more employment. Mr. Speaker, unemployment youth poses a threat to this nation. Therefore, it's important for we leaders of this country make good policies and then make sure we put more measures for us to bring more jobs to our youth. Mr. Speaker, President Mahama has promised to make agri very attractive in this country for our youth to benefit. Mr. Speaker, President Mahama has promised that he's going to make accessible to mechanization, which will help because without mechanization, we can't do more. During President Nana Akufo-Addo's time, we heard of one village, one dime. At the end of the day, we didn't see any dime anywhere, Mr. Speaker. So this is a good promise. Mr. Speaker, President Mahama has also promised that he's going to make sure there's going to be quality seeds to be supplied to the youth so that we can plant them and get more food within the country. Mr. Speaker, he has also promised that he's going to supply fertilizers. Mr. Speaker, we all here when fertilizers were going outside the country at the back of camels in this country. Mr. Speaker, I think this must stop. We are doing our own, we are harming ourselves. Mr. Speaker, he's also going to support he's going to give financial support to the farmers to enable farming attractive for the youth to come on board. Ghana is a great country. Therefore, if we're able to put more finance or give support there, it will help us and then grow the economy. Mr. Speaker is also going to make sure he provides extension officers. Mr. Speaker, is important because most farmers, they need these extension officers to guide them, to support them, to educate them so that they can come out with proper farming to feed this country without hassle. Mr. Speaker, he's also going to make sure we have farm centers. Mr. Speaker, in this country, there are a lot of youth who want to farm, but sometimes they find it difficult to get this land. Some go ahead or go along to rent a land before they can farm. Therefore, if every district, as President Mahama promised, able to get these farm centers to help our youth, Mr. Speaker, I think it will go a long way to bring down this unemployment issue. Mr. Speaker, let me also tackle on artisans issue. Mr. President, or His Excellency President Mahama, has also promised that he's going to support the artisans. Mr. Speaker, in this country, we know that these artisans help a lot. They do a lot in this country to grow the economy. Mr. Speaker, this artisan that we are talking about, when they have their skills or when they are very good at work, when they finish their work, they do more. They don't rely on government to get job. They are themselves self-employed. They are dependent. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it's important for government or President Mahama to support these artisans. Mr. Speaker, these artisans, there are many. We have masons, we have tilers, we have those who do POP, we have carpenters, steel benders, electricians, and all that. So when they give financial support, when they get this financial support, and Mr. Mahama, President Mahama has also promised that he's going to give them free technical and vocational training. He's going to also provide them with financial support. And this will go a long way to help them to get their jobs. And then the economy will move on. Mr. Speaker, I'm also glad to hear from the President Mahama in the State of the Nation address that is going to address teacher Dabra's issue. Mr. Speaker, the accommodation of teachers at various places is very challenging. If you come to my constituency, Senior West, there are a lot of villages or rural areas. Mr. Speaker, when you post teachers there,
I'm just going to tell you to wind up. So you,
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, or in winding up, these teachers find it difficult to get accommodation. It's a very challenging area, underserved area. Therefore, when this teachers' accommodation come on board, it will help them so that they will go there, and then education will be quality for everybody, for each and everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for these few words.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me listen to the leader of the House before we continue.
Mr. Speaker, I want to crave your indulgence to grant leave for us to vary the order of business so that the first Deputy Speaker can lay the report itemized number 1 on the order paper addendum that has just been distributed.
Well, minority leadership.
Speaker, the leader is seeking the leave of the House to vary order of business and to lay a paper. No problem.
Honorable members, leave granted. First Deputy Speaker, you have the floor.
13th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency, the President's nomination for appointment as Deputy Ministers.
Honorable members, the report has been duly laid. They are to be distributed to honorable members. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, with the same leave, may I move the motion for the 12th report? No, not 13, the 12th. The 12th.
Should we hold on with the debate? Honorable members, Chairman of the committee, let me take one, then we take your report.
Most grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, with respect, the leader made an appeal to lay, and I thought we'll limit ourselves to the laying, and then we'll revert back to finish the debate, and then we could come and take the motion duly. So let's limit ourselves to the laying for now.
We finished with the laying?
Yes, but with respect to First Deputy, I think he wanted to move the motion.
Anyway, we are left with we are left with Kwabena Ochedakon and Stephen Amoah.
Speaker, with respect to you, it's not entirely true. At the conclave, we agreed. That was why we reduced the time allocated earlier from 50 minutes to 10 minutes. So the agreement at conclave was that we'll get 9 on each side to speak. Honorable, my colleague will bear me out. That was the agreement. So Speaker, it cannot be 2. There are more than 2. 9. It was 9. Well, we can add on. We have 9 there, but we can add on. So we still have more to do.
So, leadership, are we to continue the debate?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I believe today the debate will continue, and it may not end today. It will take us to Friday. So that is why I was with a view that if you could take the committee's report, then the rest of the period is for the debate, so that as many as we are able to take, then we take that particular number. We may even go beyond the 10 if the time will allow us.
So, Minority Chief Whip, can I use my discretion to take 2 more from each side, then I take the report?
So just to remind my leader that his backyard doesn't look too good. So he shouldn't look too confident because his backyard is not too strong.
So let me now invite Honorable Kwabena Ochedakon. So, Chairman of the Appointment Committee, please, I'll give you time. Let me take 2, then I'll come to you. Yes, Honorable Kwabena Ochedakon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to add my voice to the state of the nation. Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that the report or the President's speech is not numbered, but it says that I, John Dramani Mahama, will fix the economic crisis confronting our country and reset it on a path of growth and prosperity. Mr. Speaker, as far as the record shows, when it comes to President John Dramani Mahama, we know that the facts do not speak to his efforts. Mr. Speaker, GDP growth rate during his time was 3.4. We did 6.4. Mr. Speaker, when you talk about gross public debt to GDP, he did 73%, whilst we did 72%. That shows the efficiency of the loans we have borrowed in generating or benefiting the economy. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to trade balance, we did a positive 5.9%, whilst President John Mahama in 2016 did a negative 1.8%. So clearly, the record of President Mahama shows that he just can't do this job. It is for this same reason that he tries to hide behind the sinking fund phenomenon. Mr. Speaker, the act supporting the sinking fund is not compulsory. If you take the Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, it says in section 37(1) that the minister may create a sinking fund. So no minister is compelled under any circumstance to create and use a sinking fund. And therefore, the use of the accounts mean to provide for the payment of buffers during the Nanado's regime was in the right order. Mr. Speaker, if you also take the president's speech on energy, he had made it categorically clear that there was a contract between ECG and Enclave Power. Mr. Speaker, there is no contract as such. It is between VRA, rather, and Enclave Energy. And therefore, you cannot use that as a pilot to do more of such operations in the districts and in the communities. Mr. Speaker, one area that interested me was in the area about the petroleum sector, linking it to the city of Sekondi Takoradi and the Western region. And Mr. Speaker, this is what the president said, and I quote, "Ghana's petroleum sector has witnessed a precipitous decline, with crude oil production shrinking by more than 32%. This has resulted from high opacity levels, a hostile business climate, and excessive political interference, culminating in most major oil companies exiting and stalling upstream activities." This is entirely wrong. Mr. Speaker, everybody knows that ever since the world started shifting towards the energy transition, the world has not been putting up the capital to finance investments in crude. And therefore, for the president to be alluding to excessive political interference in this area is just not correct and it's wrong. Mr. Speaker, the decline in upstream activities, the president continues, is obvious to any person familiar with the Twin City of Sekondi Takoradi. Just under a decade ago, the Twin City were the bustling epicenter of fabrication, logistics, service activities associated with the upstream oil and gas sector. Unfortunately, my recent visit reveals major shutdown facilities and many businesses that have packed and left. Mr. President knows exactly that even the OECD countries were not putting up the money to finance these companies. Mr. Speaker, hundreds of workers have been laid off and left unemployed I wish to assure the people of Sekondi Takoradi, and indeed the whole Western region, that we will breathe life back into the area. Mr. Speaker, as for Mr. President John Mahama, we know him very well. He was the one that promised that 10% of the oil revenues. That never materialized. He promised Hope City. It never materialized. So clearly, Mr. Speaker, we know for a fact that President John Mahama would never deliver on this promise. Mr. Speaker, the whole NDC infrastructure, under them, Ghana lost the Black Star Line. That created a lot of unemployment in the Western region. When we get to the issue of state capture in Western region, the GNTC, that was operating in those days, was captured by cronies and friends of the NDC. When you talk about the GMPC bakery at the Takoradi Hebo, it was also taken over by cronies and friends of the NDC. If you talk about Bonsa Ties, it collapsed under the NDC. Mr. Speaker, WVLC, Western Veneer and Lumber Company, was actually taken over not by friends and cronies, but family and friends. That company used to have more than 4,000 workers. Mr. Speaker, that is the reason why our economy has been having problems in the Sekondi Takoradi area. Mr. Speaker, WAMCO, West Africa Mills, also suffered the same fate under President John Mahama. It collapsed until Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came to the scene and resuscitated it, and now it is working. So, Mr. Speaker, when they talk about things that the President and the NPP did for the people of Western region to sustain life and keep it afloat, there are so many of them. Mr. Speaker, you can talk about the Elubo Government Hospital that has been completed, the Nswayim Government Hospital that has been completed, the Bugosu Government Hospital that has been completed, the Mpoho Government Hospital, the New Takoradi, the Accident and Trauma Center at Apmenim, Bukro Government Hospital, Mpoho Regional Hospital, and our Agenda 111, Bukro, was completed. Yes, ours has been completed and commissioned. It has been completed and commissioned. And we have already selected the workers. Unfortunately, we are being given instructions not to post them. For the past 2 months, we've been given instructions not to post them. Mr. Speaker, if we did this project 2 weeks to election, and after 2 months, you cannot blame anybody for the hospital not being opened. So, Mr. Speaker, we know what we are doing in the Western region. Mr. Speaker, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave Western region the largest naval base in this country at its level. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Honorable member, please begin to.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, this state of the nation is uninspiring, especially when it comes to jobs for the youth. Mr. Speaker, it promises greenhouse agricultural jobs of 30,000, and Nkukwan Ketenkete of 55,000, and then implementable businesses for young people of 2,000. Mr. Speaker, when you put up this figure, out of a population of 2 million unemployed youth, clearly these numbers just are uninspiring. And it's not good and very disappointing for the young people of this country. So they should up their game so that the young people of this country and stop the blame game. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Let's now listen to Honorable Haji Aladi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity for me to add my voice to the message on the state of the nation given by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We thank God, thank Almighty Allah for giving us the opportunity for power to change and for us, change hands, and for us to be seated here today comfortably and peacefully and debating. I wish to first of all thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for giving us the opportunity of having a woman as the Vice President. Women in Ghana and the whole world cannot thank him so much. It's a dream come true for most of us. We couldn't have thought of it coming sooner than this. We hope and pray that many others would follow suit, not only in Ghana, but other countries. Mr. Speaker, in the presentation of the State of the Nation, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama stated that the country was at slippery slopes. In fact, it was actually very, very slopey and slippery. And we thank God
I like that.
that Ghanaians decided to ensure that they will not let Ghana go down the drain. We are seated and arguing and talking about the issue that Ghana was on good footing before the just passed administration left office. When have we so soon forgotten? When plantain was carried and brought to the ministries for sale, when have we so soon forgotten?
Ask them.
I simply asked myself at that time. I didn't have the power to say anything or to do anything except to talk. But I just wondered, even those in Accra, and for that matter, even around just the outskirts of Accra, let's take even Kaswa, did we expect them to come to the ministry to come and buy plantain because it was cheaper there, or because the minister had brought it there? It happened. It happened because of food shortage. People couldn't get food on the table, sometimes not even for one meal, not to talk of 2 or 3. Today we are being told that all was rosy before the MPP left government. We will not forget so soon. We wouldn't forget. Don't let us also forget, when we talk about electrification, the simple thing I always remember, and unfortunately my brother, whom I will be referring to, is not here. We say Dumso, and that day people wanted to use it to say it was not His Excellency John Dramani Mahama that brought Dumso to an end. Have we so soon forgotten about the lies-offs that came to the extent that our brother, when he was compelled to come out and say something to the nation, said that this was not called Dumso, but it was called what? Dumsiesie. Today we are saying that we never had issues. Look, we are for the people, all of us, whether you are NDC or MPP. We are for the people, and we must talk it as it is. So we shouldn't forget about these things. We were in this country, we were in this chamber, when for God's sake, the army was able to come into parliament and to come into this chamber, as if Ghana was at war with another country. We legislators who are here, legislators, we have no problem except pen, paper, writing and thinking and talking. We had the army coming in here. And yet, when we took power, 7th January, and we gathered here, nobody saw even an army officer, one single army officer around the premises of parliament, not to talk of them coming inside our chamber. Up until now, we haven't heard anything about that incident.
Peaceful.
Very, very, very peaceful. All went well. Look at the election of the speaker and the 2 deputies. Very beautiful. Because that is the best way to go. That is the best way to go. We got the numbers because Ghanaians trust and believe that we can deliver, and inshallah we shall deliver. It was in this same chamber what we have been crying against, what we have been talking against. It occurred in this chamber during the voting of the speaker, snatching of ballot papers and chewing them, which we normally cry against. We say, no, we don't want this to happen, we don't want that to happen. It happened here. We, the same people, the leaders, were here and it happened. I wouldn't want to mention the person's name because he is not here, but most of us here were around. What do we say about that? I won't give you the opportunity, because when I give you that opportunity, you will let me laugh and then just sit down. No, I'm going to do it and then I will talk it as it is. Mr. Speaker, school feeding, it basically came to a stop. I won't talk of the secondary schools. It was a problem. They will not even come out, they dare not, the headmasters dare not come out to say it. Because if they did, they will be transferred. Today, everyone in Ghana has the peace of mind to talk and to say it as it is. Our school children immediately started, the students immediately started, there was food carried in no time. To them, food stuff was carried to those schools. And they had food on their tables. They ate food, beautiful, very nice, very nutritious, with eggs. What are we looking for in governance more than what is happening currently? His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is out here to work and to ensure that the work is being done. And he has already started it. Immediately, the president of the US, Donald Trump, came out with the issue of US aid not coming again. He gave an instruction outright. He didn't wait. He instructed the Minister for Finance to make sure that he makes room to cater for that aspect. While we were at that, then the deportation came. Deportation of our people. And before we could say Jack, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Ablakwa, was able to give us the numbers there and told us he had already done the groundwork for them to be catered for so that they can come back home safely. This is how we want it.
Honorable Ladi, begin to descend.
Why?
I'm saying begin to descend for landing.
I have 10 minutes, Mr. Speaker. So I've not.
You are left with 1 minute. That's why I'm asking you.
Mr. Speaker, while we were at that, we had cholera outbreak. We saw all of us, including the Minister of Health, run round, send health personnel, ensure there is medication at every place that was affected. And thanks to the Almighty Allah, I believe that that problem is more or less being solved. Sure. Then we had the issue of meningitis. And because the president knows the predicament of most of our people, especially in the villages, he asked that all places that were affected, treatment should be given free. Education should be given properly so that people will be able to take care of themselves. This is what we are looking for.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We will take the last round, then take the appointment report, then probably come back. So we will listen to Honorable Stephen Amoah. Honorable Dr. Stephen Amoah.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I think it is time we actually offered Ghanaians records and data and the appropriate interpretations and explanations with integrity.
Interpretation in what?
Of economic figures.
You said another word.
And explanations.
Okay.
With integrity. Mr. Speaker, I think this issue about recycling incidents, pieces of information, just because one party wants to be in power, another party wants to come to power, in my opinion, should be a thing of the past. We can't continue treating Ghana this way. Mr. Speaker, I really got astonished when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, our president, my president, came to this house and only stated just one out of the relevant primary macro indicators and painted a picture as if the economy of Ghana is in coma. What message are we sending to potential and prospective investors? Why are we creating panic in our country when there's none? Mr. Speaker, one thing that everyone should understand is that when it comes to the economy, it is not one having his or her discretion to give an illustration of a picture. It deals with facts and figures, numbers, numerical description. Mr. Speaker, the number one and the most important primary macro indicator to show whether a country's economy is doing well or not, number one, is the GDP. You can't choose to say anything at all. 2016, God being so good, it is the same present president that handed over Ghana to His Excellency former President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo. GDP, as my brother said, just to re-emphasize, was 3.4. Mr. Speaker, we left over 6%, almost twice. Mr. Speaker, three most important secondary macro indicators all over the world in assessing any economy. Number one is the mainstay of your economy. In here is agriculture. They left 2.7. We left 4.5. Then you come to industry. It's very unfortunate that my senior, respectable MP, Honorable Haruna, he made a statement that MPP government destroyed the private sector. I stand to be corrected. Private sector is the key and definitional element of dealing with any industry in the world. They left industrial growth of 4.3. We left 8.9, almost twice. Mr. Speaker, there you come to services. They left 2.8. We left 5%. Mr. Speaker, now you talk about the fiscal space in terms of consolidation to show whether your economy has a future, is strong or not. They left a negative figure. We left a positive figure. Mr. Speaker, take that aside. Could we have said that the economy was so bad and dead and was in ICU, intensive care unit? Mr. Speaker, when one is intensive care unit, you cannot even raise your hand. We're still performing our obligations. This country outlays billions of cedis every month for emolument, paying workers. Were we paying them or not? Where did they get money to pay workers in January? Mr. Speaker, let us be. I don't want to use any vocabulary because I'm dealing with a statement of the president. But let us be very careful the kind of picture we paint to this generation and the world. Mr. Mr. Speaker, all the pro-poor policies, both in kind and cash, we left those that were performing efficiently and effectively well, including free SHS, paying billions every month. Mr. Speaker, I want to come back to this whole issue about debt. Yes, we left a little over 70% debt to GDP. That is not too good, yes. But Mr. Speaker, we need to contextualize this and explain it well. I want any professor in the world and in Ghana here swear with Quran and Bible and say what I'm saying is a lie, because we are tired of misinformation. Mr. Speaker, when in the history of this country, where Ghanaians, public and civil service workers, were asked to stay home but they were paid, have we forgotten so soon? They went through a period of some months of not working but they were paid, all of them in this country. Mr. Speaker, even after that, they ran shit for over 11 months. 10 will go 2 weeks, another 10 will go 2 weeks, and they were paying them. Mr. Speaker, private sector sacked over 40,000 people in this country, paying corporate taxes. We ran revenue shortfalls of 12 billion in this country. That was when the world grew negative 3.3. That was when the debt to GDP of the world went to almost 300%. We even did well. Had it been the NDC government, debt to GDP would have been 1,400. Because we are better managers of the economy. Mr. Speaker, all that we are talking about is that, Mr. Speaker, I want my brothers to understand. I want my brothers to understand. I want my brothers to understand. If the economy was in coma, in ICU, how come such a developing country such as Ghana, you are the social democrats. In economics, you were supposed to adopt what we call a contractual fiscal policies to roll out pro-poor policies. NDC government cannot boast of one social and pro-poor policy the poor child's need. Not even one. Which one? Which one? Which one? Tell me. You are not capitalistic. You are socialistic. But you cannot roll out one pro-poor policy. One. Even teachers and nurses allowance, you know you are running a better economy. You cancel them. Mr. Speaker, I want them to understand the fact that when it comes to managing the economy of this country, Ghanaians cannot have any hope under you. Mr. Speaker, no wonder.
Thank you. Please wind up.
Yeah. No wonder that when they were coming to power, they sang a nice song. Asampa is where official NDC members are torturing soldiers in order for their people to do what I'm saying. Asampa is where private properties and homes are being attacked. Our constitution states without ambiguity and debate, Article 18(2)(a), that no one shall be subjected to the interference of his private home and properties. So Asampa is that you are attacking poor people in our country today. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I want to end with this. I just want to end with this. I want to tell them today, when you have impaired productivity, when your market is not working, when you have revenue shortfalls, where you rely on is debt financing, and when your GDP is not growing, definitely. So it was an uncontrollable factor.
Thank you.
But before they came to power,
thank you.
They have inherited far better economic
situation. Thank you, Honorable Stephen Amoah.
Handed over in 2016.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We will take the last. Honorable Millicent Amankwa-Yeboah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to the debate of the State of the Nation's address. Mr. Speaker, under the Article 67 of the Constitution, the President shall, at the beginning of each section of Parliament, deliver a message on the State of the Nation address. Mr. Speaker, clearly, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has honored his constitutional rights and the oath that he swore. This is the first of his oath that he swore. Mr. Speaker, with this Article 67, that is the message. It didn't come out clearly with what the content of the message is. But if you pick the Article 34, Clause 2, the President shall report to Parliament at least once a year all the steps taken to ensure realization of the policies objectives obtained in this chapter, and in particular, realization of the basic human rights and healthy economy, the right to work, the right to good health care, and the right to education. Mr. Speaker, on that note, let us ask ourselves if indeed the SONA contains this context. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, one of our members of Parliament, our sister, the former Deputy Minister for Finance, debated that the SONA, that it states the message that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama came about, was actually not in a right state. But I want to tell her that as a woman, I was surprised about some comments that was made. Because when she made mention of the fact that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama gave out heavily expansion fiscal policy without any financial or funds allocated to it. She is a finance minister. I want to ask her that if the State of the Nation address is supposed to come out with outlined financial lines towards it, that is why we have the budget that will be read on Tuesday, on the 11th of March. That is when she would get to know the policies and the visions that align to the state's policy with its budget allocation. Again, she clearly made mention that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is actually concerned about this collapse of banks because he in some way wants to give license. This is very insensitive, because how can you collapse banks? Up to now, some people have not been able to recover. People are on the streets. People are unemployed. Look at people's money that has been invested in it. Look at the money you use in collapsing it. And look at the money which, if you had used to save them, wouldn't have been perfect. Mr. Speaker, now they talk about His Excellency John Dramani Mahama being a terminator. Mr. Speaker, if you want to come to the table of equity, come with clean hands. Come with clean hands. If you are able to, if you are able to, you know, if you are able to collapse banks, and people who was unemployed, you cannot today say that. But even Mr. Speaker, with determination, it was legally right, as Honorable James Agaga said earlier on. As I continue, yesterday, I am happy that the Honorable Oponkoma is here. Yesterday, I am so surprised. My respectable colleague, he made mention that he couldn't even hear, he couldn't even hear that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama spoke about job creation.
Please. Please. We lay down the rules. Your name is so sweet. Don't worry. Your name is so sweet.
Mr. Speaker, he made mention clearly that he didn't hear His Excellency John Dramani Mahama talking about job creation initiatives. But you know, sometimes I remember when I wasn't in Parliament. When I was in Parliament and I used to listen to Sona, I sometimes do not get captured about these things. But today, per the Constitution, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama delivered perfectly the constitutional rights. And Mr. Speaker, if he didn't hear, maybe because it took like an hour or half, and so I will help him. Under the job creation, he made mention a Jumarua program, which supports 2,000 youth employment annually with training, capacity, and mentorship. The National Apprenticeship Program target 10,000 youth with skills training and setup kits. Okada or motorcycle transport reformed, introducing the electric motorcycle under the high purchase scheme. 1 million coded program, the youth training in digital skills, coding, web development, digital marketing. These are few that I made mention of. Mr. Speaker, that Swami MP, when he was talking about mining, I am so surprised he had the effrontery to talk about mining.
Honorable.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, please.
Mr.
Withdraw
Speaker,
that statement.
Mr.
That
Speaker,
word.
I am guided. I withdraw.
Withdraw that word.
Mr. Speaker, I am guided. I withdraw. Mr. Speaker, when he was talking about it, I was waiting.
I have asked her to withdraw.
She has withdrawn.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members.
Mr.
I
Speaker.
have asked her to withdraw that word.
Don't worry. Mr. Speaker, I am guided.
You are guided?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I was thinking that he would make mention the things that they did during their previous government. But Mr. Speaker, surprisingly, we had excavators seized. Mr. Speaker, instead of you looking at these mining communities,
Honorable members,
mining communities,
I asked her to withdraw, and he has withdrawn.
So, Mr. Speaker, the excavators were seized, and in those communities are the most deprived communities.
Honorable member,
those excavators and machines should go and reshaping the roads. And these excavators were seized and come somewhere. Where is
wind up for me.
Mr. Speaker, Please, permit me to continue on this because it's very important to me. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, wind up for me. Your time is up, please.
Mr. Speaker, when you talk, Mr. Speaker, I was so happy.
Honorable members,
Mr.
I am being guarded by the table.
Oh,
they give me the time.
Mr. Speaker, with this constitutional mandate on the health sector.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
No, Mr. Speaker. Mr.
Thank
Speaker,
you very much.
Let me wrap up.
Honorable Millicent, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, let me wrap up. Please, 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, on the health sector, His Excellency John
Honorable member, please, enough is enough.
The agenda 111.
Honorable member, enough is enough.
It shows clearly that they didn't work. Mr. Speaker, on the free SHS, he made mention of it.
Honorable member.
He's going to continue inclusive. Mr. Speaker, we will come back again. On that note, thank you for the opportunity given to me.
Have you seen the way the minority leader is looking at you? Yes, let's hear you. Who is having his microphone on?
Consult the oracles.
Yes. Speaker, in fact, let me give a background to what I'm going to speak to. Yesterday, we were supposed to do a motion advertised in today's order paper as item 16 on page 6. It had to be stood down. And today, we reached a consensus that that motion will be moved. So earlier on, our colleagues have also, specifically the First Deputy has appealed to us that we should take the report on the appointment committee, which our side has agreed to do. However, Speaker, we want to begin with item 16 on page 6, after which we'll proceed to take the appointment committee's report. Already, the report has been laid. So, Speaker, shall we proceed from item 16 on page 6? I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader. Yes, Leader.
Yeah, I thought we had agreed that we will take one from each side and then we will take the reports. And I think that is why the First Deputy Speaker took his seat so that he could take the report. I don't know why the Minority Chief Whip is seeking to vary the order of business again. I thought that we were just going to take at least one of the reports on the ministerial appointments. I thought that was what we agreed to do.
We will just finish with the motion quickly, and then we'll take it. There's no problem. We'll take it. Please.
The problem with motions is that they can get very contentious, heated debates and drag on for forever. So I thought that I thought that the best would have been to, because there's consensus on the nominees, at least the ones that we want to take.
Leader, we'll come on Friday.
No, we'll take it today, except they wanted to take the okay, let him come and take it so that he should come and take it so that we'll take it.
The leader should oblige us. We'll just start from the motion and we terminate. We start from the motion and end.
I'm coming. Hold on.
Coming.
So, leadership, is that the pressure of the House?
I think the first Deputy Speaker has some indications from the Speaker, and he made mention of that when we met this morning. So if the first Deputy Speaker takes the chair, he will give an indication what we should do.
Okay, first Deputy, come and take the chair.
Yes. Speaker, may we move to page 6? Page 6 of today's order paper and take item 16. Item 16 on page 6, Speaker.
Honourable members, there was an application earlier made to take the appointment committee's reports, and thereafter we'll take the motion. In view of that understanding, I ask that the second deputy speaker should take the chair so that I could myself move the motion, then I can come and take the chair, and then we take the private member's motion. But I do not know what have changed. But I will be guided by the pleasure of the House.
Speaker, with greatest of respect. This motion was advertised on a paper, on an order paper addendum yesterday. It had to be stood down, which we obliged. We've discussed, Speaker, application was made to us. We agreed that the item should be laid, the report should be laid. Speaker, we have obliged our colleagues in the majority. Please, for once, let's work together. Let's take this motion, after which we can do the report. The report is here. There's consensus. There's no problem. Speaker, is it the case that colleagues are entertaining some fear? We are going to support you to pass this. So
you see, no fears, but for a moment, when the vice chairman was even laying a report, you raised an issue that he is not the chairman of the appointment committee. I think Honorable Habib was the one who raised the issue. It is based on the issue raised by Honorable Habib that I have decided to give the chair to the second deputy speaker, so that as the chairman of the appointment committee, I could move the motions before coming to take the chair, and then we'll deal with the private members' motion. So I want to be guided.
Speaker, as far as I know, the two